In this video, I interview Cottrell Wood, owner and founder of CBW Accountant, and she owns a business and tax and accounting firm based out of Cleveland, Ohio that we have helped out. Now, she's been an accountant for over a decade, but launched her own accounting firm about a year ago, and she's built up a six-figure business in less than a year. So sit back and hear her story, hear her perspective, and learn what it was like growing an accounting firm from nothing. All right. Hey, folks. Rob, Feedbackwrench. I help small businesses, contractors, construction companies, and then accountants with their websites, their marketing, and kind of have this approach to selling that is unique. I'm here with Cottrell. I'm just going to show you her website. I kind of laugh. I have a video that walks through her website and the marketing and the copywriting. We did that whole thing. So this is cbwaccountant.com. And we came alongside her. How long ago was it now? Like a year and a half ago?
Like it was a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. So
probably a year ago. Yeah.
All right. Here's what I want to hear. So folks, what you're going to hear is Cottrell is like one of our kind of quintessential customers. And here's what I mean. I get a lot of folks that are high capable accountants that have been doing something else. They're working somewhere else, whether it's a big four firm or you're working in a big corporation and you're good at accounting and you're ready to kick off and do your own thing. Do not go to CPA Site Solutions. Do not go to GetNet Set. Do not go to, CloudWorks Pro or some of these other places. We'll do this for you and get you set up. Now, that's my claim, but I just want to share the stories of more of these accountants because I'm a firm believer that as you go through and improve and head in the right direction like Cottrell has, and she has a cool story here, I know that your family will be impacted. I know that your community will be impacted, your kids' lives, and so everything moves upward and forward in your communities when an accountant gets better because you will impact the businesses you intersect with. I'm naive enough to believe that. So Cottrell, that's enough from me. Tell folks, okay, what were you doing? Tell us the story of CBW Accountant.
So I have been in accounting for over 10 years, right? And I've always had a passion for small-owned businesses because my family is full of entrepreneurs. And especially like my dad, he had his own barbecue business,
So he had a barbecue business. Your dad had a barbecue business,
catering business, and it just kind of grew in front of my eyes, and I found it like inspirational, and I just helped him with his books, and so I have a passion for small-owned businesses, and he's no longer here anymore. But
and how long ago did he pass away?
It's 2015. So 2015? That's what I used to couldn't remember how but I used to couldn't see past that year, but now it's like 2023. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, but I have entrepreneurs all throughout my family. So it's pretty cool because I know both sides of it. So I know how it is when you're just starting a business, when you are trying to decide if you should quit your job and, step away and do your passion. And I understand, like, even my clients, they're usually like, oh, I have to spend from my personal account into my business account, does this, and, all of those things that you come into like a struggle with when you're just starting out as an entrepreneur. I understand it from all those aspects. So I was working for a company for a very long while, and I started this company on the side, and it just kind of grew. And it, when it's your passion and when your purpose is calling you, you can't do anything but answer it. So it's like whether I wanted to stay or not, it was just like growing before my eyes. So I had to step away from my day job, and it was like one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And people always make it seem like it's so easy and everybody glorifies being an entrepreneur, but it has its ups and downs. I truly love the journey. So I've been in business I've been in business for about 5 years now, but I've stepped away from my full-time job for a year. So it's been 1 year rock starring on my own, I should say.
And so you called me. You were at this. Ride. You were at, okay, and you don't have to say the company if you don't want to. You can if you do want to, but you were an in-house accountant at a larger corporation, right?
Yes.
for
Yes, for
10
sure.
years?
No, so I've been doing accounting for 10 years. So I have like over
Yep.
10 years of experience in accounting alone. But I believe I worked for that company for 4 years before I left.
Okay.
And I had my business on the side. Like this was a side gig for a while until it grew into a big gig.
Who was your
Yeah.
first?
So
I want to help me like very specifically. Who do you remember your first client, or what's one of the first clients that? How'd you get them, and what was it, and what'd you learn from it?
it's so funny that you asked that because I just had a conversation with my friend the other day because she was just like, I believe in you. I'm so proud of you. And she told her mom was having some tax trouble, right? And she's a pastor. Of a church, and she was having some tax issues, and she's like, "Oh, I have a friend that does that," and I'm just like, "Wait, no, I don't do that. Like, I just work as an accountant for other people, not individuals." And so she's just like, "No, you should look into this. You should just help her, just see if you can." And I did some research, and I just kind of like I found joy in, helping mitigate her tax liability and helping her make sense of how to prepare her taxes next year. And it was just like, wow, if she didn't believe in me, then I mean, I believe in myself, but it was just like she just threw me out there to her mom who was
That's
going
cool.
through some tax issues. Yeah,
So
for
you didn't
sure.
have
But I
so
do it all the time for
that's cool.
businesses, but it's like, why not do it for everyone else too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what? So you had a friend that kind of pulled you in and said, "Hey, you know how
Mm-hmm.
to solve these problems. Why don't you go solve their problem?" Because they
Yeah.
found the need. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And so was there a
Isn't
lot of
it?
fear and trepidation when you did that, or were you fairly confident that like, I can do this, or what were the voices in your head
I
telling
was
you?
fairly confident because I had done it for businesses all the time. So it's like,
Okay.
if I can do this for a Fortune 500 company, why can't I do it for, an
Mm-hmm.
individual?
Mm-hmm.
But it was still like, should I even be, um, helping her? Should I just stay in my own lane of business and just, kind of keep it that way? But it
Yep.
just kept pulling me. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's super cool. Okay. So now you got the first one. And then how do you go from there? Because now you got, and you don't have to share everything, but how many? So when we were talking a year ago, you had like one or two. Like, let's jump there and then we'll
One.
back up again. Like a year ago, you called me. You said, "Rob, I watched a bunch of your YouTube videos. I think I want to drink some of this Kool-Aid. Let's do some of this." So I came in and we built you a website and did some SEO stuff. And then and that was kind of like a step of faith, right? I mean, because you gave us money
Yeah.
to do that, like you had to spend on it,
Hmm.
and then okay, so
Yeah.
walk me through the last 365 days. Help people understand what,
Okay.
because I think it's been pretty cool.
So I must say, my friend's mother, who's a pastor, she referred me to everyone, right? Because she has this huge congregation.
That's
And
cool.
I just got tax clients from there and it just grew. So I had, during when I contacted Rob, it was around March, the same time. And it
Mm-hmm.
was tax season and I was booming. But I'm like, okay, you can make money during tax season, but how do you sustain yourself on a monthly basis? And I came across these videos and I wanted to keep doing what I was doing and helping people. And I didn't want to stay at my current job. So I'm like, I got to reach out to him. And I quit. He was so helpful and I just believed in myself and I knew that something was going to come. It was just calling me. So I'm just like, I have to do this. I quit my job with one. That just sounds so insane now. It
I've
sounds so
told
insane.
Kachal, I've told your story a couple times where I've been like, yeah, she was working full time. She had the side gig going. We launched the site because I remember that first call where you're like, "Rob, I did it." I'm like, "What did you mean you did it?" She's like, "I quit my full time job." I'm like,
I
"Holy
quit.
smokes." Because I take this pretty, like, when my clients get going, like, I feel it in my stomach. Like, I always laugh. Like,
Yeah.
last night I was teasing my wife. I can't remember what it was. I said something. I like to consider myself, us, our team and our family and who we are is we're responsible people. Like, and I mean that as not like we're better than others, but like when we take this on, every single client we get, it makes my stomach turn, like in a serious way that like I need to try. And I'm not saying like, because you've gone out and you've made this happen, we can just put some digital stuff, some messaging and some website that just kind of seals the deal for you. And then there's stuff you can do on top of that. But I was telling my wife, I'm like, Heather, because Heather's parents are they're really responsible. There's kind of a seriousness. We're all fun, but there's kind of, and my parents, like they're pretty responsible people. And then Heather and I were joking that like, here we are because we've got a team of 6 of us right now. And as we've been helping so many customers, we're growing significantly. Like we don't want to grow too fast because we take this really serious, that we want to take responsibility, that like we're trying to guide you to actually grow. I had spent 1 year around these financial advisors where people, like you go to Northwestern Mutual and Thrivent Financial, you get recruited by Edward Jones and all these, oh, come over here, you can make tons and tons of money. And what happens, they put them on this little like front where they make a little bit of money, and then they convince them that they can make money by having them, oh, just do a rollover and you'll buy your own product with your own money, which gets them enough money. And then right around 3/4 of the year through, all of a sudden they can't get anything going and they fail. And so I watched a whole bunch. I've seen so many businesses fail. I've watched like I have some friends now who they had a fitness company. They're not like really good friends of mine, but they did like a cross training type gym. And they had like good clients, but they couldn't succeed. I don't know that they did the math on like, okay, how many clients do I need to actually have success? But so I'm just sharing this with like, when you called me and you had that, I'm like, I want to see sustained momentum now because that makes my stomach churn. Did it cause what was going through your head when you actually quit?
I'm pretty faith-based. So I was just like, God's got me. Like, he wouldn't want me to like be stressed out with this job. And I just knew it was going to work out. I didn't know how. I just knew it was going to work out. So I just felt like I was being nudged and tugged to step away, because it was more so anybody can do the numbers, honestly. Anybody can do what it is that I do, but no one does it the way that I do. You know what I mean? So it's like the passion that I have behind it goes unmatched. The level that I want to make sure that you grow goes unmatched. So it's like, they're going to want me. Why wouldn't they want me? It's like, so I had my first client, and she was referred to me by the pastor. This pastor has been referring me for years. That's great. And so she comes to me, the first person that I quit for, or I won't say for, but the only monthly client that I had at the time, she was a hairstylist. And she was in such a good space to, financially take on me. But she believed in me in such a way where I was like, she's like, you're worth it. You're worth that. I'll just do whatever you need me to do. Send me the invoice. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll sign on with you. And she's That's like, cool. You have helped me generationally. That's cool. She's like, I used to fear the IRS so much, and now I don't. That's so cool. It's now, a big deal. Yeah, one client. Yeah, one client, and it's like I used to count, but now I don't even know the exact number anymore. Yep. It's crazy because I used to be like, if only I could get to 5, if only I could get to 10, That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So again, happy. Just so people know, so a year ago you had like 1 or 2, and then you kind of had it down, didn't you? You took the leap and you had a little bit of shift, right? What was that like? So I would say like March through June, I was like, oh, I'm coasting. This will be okay. I'm all right. And then kind of in August, it seemed like when everyone went back to school, and it kind of just seemed like the whole world reset. I'm just like, I'm not getting any calls. No one's answering my phone calls. I'm emailing, and it was a lot. So that's why I say, like, on this journey of entrepreneurship, you just have to believe and just have to remember what you started for, because you won't
Mm-hmm.
always get paid the exact amount that you're worth every single time, or you might not always get the clients that you are, worth at the time. But if you just see it through. So I just kept chugging away, kept like doing ads, and I was just like, should I even go back to work? I almost considered going back to work for a second, but it
You
was just
did,
like,
huh?
no. Yeah, I almost considered it, but then I was like, no, you're doing what you love. You're happy. This is the most, like, I would be so tied down to just the month end and being tied down to, I couldn't even travel on certain days just because I worked for a company that was like, no travel during these dates because this is accounting and you can't live your life around these dates.
Really?
And it's just like, now I pick up my computer or my laptop and I can work from wherever the heck I want to work from, all over the
That's cool.
world. So it's
That's
like,
cool.
yeah,
Well, help me.
yeah.
Okay, so then it got down, and then did it just
hmm
what started the momentum again?
I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like it was Google.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because when I started working with you, um, Google wasn't really in place yet. We were just trying to like see if it was going to work, and um, doing like backlinks and everything like that. And then I think Google had to recognize me more, because majority of my calls now, I don't have to run as many advertisements. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
I always say, how did you find me? Thanks for calling me. And they're like, oh, I found you on Google. And I'm just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to attribute it to anything, I think it's Google. But
Yeah.
um,
Inbound is
I
huge.
don't know.
And I would say I
Mhm.
like your site. I got it pulled up over here. I'm kind of showing. I
I love
really
my website. And that's what people say when they call. I love your website when they call me.
our
Yeah.
mission, and this is not a big promotional thing. It happens to be that I'm interviewing you, but our mission is to make your website a great salesperson for you. So many people's website,
Yeah.
it's just not a good salesperson for them. And it's like, so Google's not lined up, the sale, and you're not like overly aggressive. I have some folks that are like
I'm
they're like,
not.
we're doing articles and everything. Like you have kind of a faithfulness about you, and I really think that's cool. And so, okay, so now where are you trying to go with your business? Like, what do you want it to look like 1 year, 5 years down the road? I guess I've never even asked you that.
That's a
All
good
right,
question.
recently,
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah. So I definitely want to continue building a virtual outsourced accounting firm. I should say accounting and tax for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm more so just working on, I feel like I birthed a baby and my baby's crawling. My baby is crawling, but I need to get my baby to walk now.
Yep.
So I want to work with people all over the United States, which I do already, but I just want to be accessible to not just people in my home state, but all over. That's for sure one of my biggest goals, is just to continue to grow. And
Mm-hmm.
then I also want to grow my team more. So I have a team right now. It's very small, but it's growing. But I also just want to, as I grow, then my team will grow. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you
As
have
a
to do it
unit.
all at the same. Yes, it's definitely a give and take when it comes to that as well, because you don't want to hire all these people and you have to. So that's my goal, is to just keep, and I don't want to grow and not stay focused on the financials and making sure things are clean. And because a lot of the clients that come to me from other accounting firms, they're just like, oh, they got too big. I don't want people to say that
Yeah,
about me.
that is
You
so
know,
true. What do you think if you were to like
I don't
your
want people to say
intuition
that
when
about
they
me.
say they got too big? What is the thing that occurs that makes them like realize they're too big? What do you think that is?
They're probably just treating them like they're a number, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I always reach out to my clients and I'm just like, hey, how are you? How's your life? How are you doing?
Yep.
Is everything working? Are you seeing the reports that you want to see? Do you care about the reports that I'm even sending you? Is there another way that you want to see them? Because I don't want to be transactional. I
Mm-hmm.
can get money. There's so many other, I could be a freaking painter or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm
Yep.
doing your
Yep.
accounting. So I want to make sure that you like what it is that I'm producing for you. So I don't want to
Absolutely.
be transactional. I want to be relational. And you don't have to tell me your whole life story or anything, but I just want to make sure the line of communication is still open. And I think that some people are just, because they didn't have the communication with their old accounting firm, they are assuming that they got too big because they stopped
Mm,
calling. They stopped
mm.
answering their phone calls. They stopped answering their text messages or their emails, or they stopped doing the Zoom calls that I do with my clients.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard too. Like,
that's just my assumption.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're totally right. I think you're totally right. It's funny how many people, like, in these consolidations, we see it in, like, I know dentists have it going on, and I know CPA firms, there's all this
Mhm.
consolidation happening, and people get sold as a book of this, as all these baby boomers are retiring. They've had these tax firms out for a million years. They take their books and they sell it
Yes.
to these big mid-sized. I mean, they're big, but they're not like big four firms. And the result is these
Mhm.
customers really just get shuffled around. Nobody knows what's going on. There's a new intern that talks to them all the time. And I genuinely feel like this outsourced accounting model where you stack value and you're actually adding value is super needed right now. And there's an ironic
Yeah.
thing that as technology takes off and everybody's like, oh, accounting will be gone because robots and AI will do it. Well, maybe, but there's still a lack of wisdom that comes from the machines. There's
Hmm.
still a lack of like pulling it all
I
together.
agree.
And then for I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. I play offense. Every second that I take and I go look at my bookkeeping and accounting, I'm like, all I want to know is revenue, expenses, a little bit of ROI talk. Where are we scaling? Where are we going? Do I see any risks? Like, that's it. And I know having accountants
Yeah.
around me helps that. But okay, so I got a like real gut check question. Genuinely, what
Mhm.
were the hardest things you had to go through, and what mistakes have you made?
I feel like there were a lot of hard times. That sounds terrible. But I would say, let me think. The hardest is knowing when to, I would hate to say knowing when to ask for help, but knowing when it's like, okay, this is bigger than me. I need to pull someone in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That was a really hard part for me because I was like, who's going to care the way that I care? Who's going to be an employee and represent me? Like, if I'm running a virtual accounting firm, who's going to have the email etiquette that I have? Who's going
Mm-hmm.
to, so that
That's
was a
huge.
struggle for me, was just kind of, it still is, but um, the employees that I have, they're rock stars. So it's good now, but in the beginning, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm actually getting people that want to hire me. I should probably
Mm-hmm.
hire someone to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a struggle within myself because I had to especially as an accountant, I had to have my hands on everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely a struggle, but it just had to trust that if I'm going to hire these people and they're going to sign confidentiality agreements and they're going to, and they have the background, I have to trust that there's no way you can grow if you don't grow your team too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was one of my internal struggles with myself.
It's funny
Yeah.
you said that
Just,
whole like who's going to have the caliber, because as the business owner who sets out, part of why we do this isn't just to make money. It's that we feel like there's a way this should be done. There's a thing that should be accomplished in this world.
yes.
And I've
Yes.
realized that like genuinely, it's part of why I used to make my other employers mad, I think, because I'd be like, why don't we do it this way? Like, it'd be way better if we did it this.
Me
Now
too. That was
I get to
me.
do that. And so then what happens
That
is,
was
is
me.
you just described the great challenge then is how can you be a good leader?
Yeah.
How do you manage but lead
Yes.
so that they can become like you? And that's hard. It's hard.
That's so true.
I interviewed a gal. Her name's Pam Jones. You should go. If you haven't listened to this, it's on my podcast. It's a new long one, but I just cut it up into like 20 different pieces. You guys got to hear this gal's story. So Pamela Jones, it's Pamela Speaks something or other, but she has My Girl's House Cleaning. So she's built a very successful house cleaning business here. She has like all of her children run it now, and they have some other people, but
Wow.
it's a very successful business. And in there, She came from nothing. She's got a crazy story. Like she was in a cult and escaped the cult and started this, like she didn't know what to do. So she just started cleaning houses, and she had children. So she would like clean houses with like a baby on her back and her kid like trying to help. And that's how she got started. Like her and her kids are doing it. And I'm like, freaking love that. Like, I just love that. And,
yeah.
But I asked her, I said, okay, so your children have stayed around you. They're still in the business. You've been doing this for a long time. That's hard because you can make each other mad and having, you know, how did you train and lead your children to do this? And she said, I realized my expectation is completely unreasonable and that it's my job to train and help them move upward to where your expectation is. And I take that to heart because I can get so critical. I came from a sports background, you know, where I had football coaches that are just screaming at you all the time. And like, if you weren't perfect, it's like, I never did a rep of anything without coaching and feedback. And so in business, it's like, I value feedback deeply, but I can't just be this, you know, and I'm a big brother, so it's even worse. Like I could poke too hard, but it's interesting you bring that up, that leading your new person and getting them going. That's cool. So what other struggles?
I also want to say,
good.
I also want to say that when it comes to leadership, I had to realize that I'm okay with being the student too. Like, there's certain things that my employees bring out to me, and I'm just like, oh wow, that is a cool way to do that, or we should do it a different way. Just this entrepreneur walk is also just like, you don't know everything either. Not to say that I thought that I knew everything, but just being open to, you know, constructive criticism, or, you know, helping build my business so that the processes and procedures flow better within my own firm too. So,
That's
what
wise.
other struggles did I have? Yeah, what other? And I'm also going to a leadership conference very soon because it's important. Really? It's important. Yeah, for sure.
What is it?
It is in Orlando.
Ooh.
It's a leadership summit.
Cool.
In Orlando. It's in May. So I'm going to go there for sure. I need it. But I'm taking my employees with me.
Man, I owe that to my team. I got to do that. I owe it to my team's been, they are some soldiers, and it's been really good. So, okay, I got a couple other questions. So, what do you feel like, what's your biggest weakness in your business right now? Like, what do you feel like you like, man, if I could really get this dialed in more, our growth would improve?
I would say
you can do all
I want to figure out. I'm trying to think. So I'm thinking that workflow. So I'm thinking workflow. And when I say that, it's not that we're all over the place, but I'm thinking of something like Trello, or I don't know, have you heard of Trello?
Yeah, Trello, Asana. I use ClickUp right now.
Yeah.
I know TaxDome, Canopy, they all kind of have their own little, yep.
I haven't found one that is super great for my team right now. And there's one inside of QuickBooks, but it's just not that great. So then I think time management wise, I always have to say like, oh, you got this done, and she did it already. But it's like, I spent time wondering if she got it done. So it's like, I could have been doing something else.
That's huge. Time wondering if she got it done. That's hard. That's a real thing.
And I shouldn't even wonder if it got done, because I know that I trust her to do it, but I just want to know that it's checked off. That's the accounting in me. But it's like, I just want to know that it's checked off. So the workflow of everything, I would just want a better flow within my team for sure. I think that's the weakness that I have right now, because we do great work, but how
about the pace of leads? How's that coming along? And so one of the things I always notice is that accountants, generally speaking, struggle at sales. And then when they struggle at sales, they struggle at selling high retainers, swinging the bat and hitting the fit, like feeling confident that I'm going to lead this person to to want to give us $2,500 a month because I know that that's what they need. How has that been for you? What have you learned through that? And what are you good at? What do you struggle with?
So I would say in certain situations when they have already assessed my website, some people come to me and they already know that they want me, or they already want to work with us, you know. But I do struggle with sales for sure. I do. And I've had people that don't genuinely want to pay anything. They want me to do work for pennies. And so it just comes, sealing the deal, I think is probably a weakness for me, because it's like, I'm not going to force you or beg you for your business, you know, and I probably shouldn't think of it that way, but that's how I think of it. So it's like, if my price doesn't work well for you, then that's okay.
Yep.
And I just leave it be. But it's like, do I have to be content with my pricing on top of also being okay with being super salesy? So it's like, if you don't like my pricing, I still should probably follow up and say, well, I'm going to do this for you. Well, I'm going to do that for you. Well, you're not going to have to worry about this. I don't do the follow up with you to make you, you know, I just
That's
say,
interesting.
okay, well, if it's not a good fit, I'm totally okay with that. I make it more
like
relational.
Are you taking time to teach in the sales call before, like walk them through and kind of really, or do you find like they're calling you, they got a problem and you're like getting right into it, or like how do you balance that?
It's a little bit of both. So I've realized, so in the beginning, they would just call me and try to dump a lot of things on me. And they're just like, I am having troubles with this and you should help me fix this. And so I just had to realize too, this is my business and I need to, I will be there to hear you out. Yep. But once you stop talking, from there, I'm going to take control of this phone call, because the more scatterbrained you make me, the less productive our phone call is, because I need to know what you need help with. But I also want to have a game plan, and I can't think of a game plan if you just control the phone, if you control the narrative for me. So my questions, I have a like a consultation type of format that I go through. And so I say, you know, are you having problems here? How much time are you spending on bookkeeping? Are you finding that it's incorrect? So when I do that approach, I have a better outcome. That's cool. So, but in the beginning, it was not good. It was like, they're just calling me and I'm just like, oh, I can fix that for you. And they're just like, okay, well, I'll hire you to fix it for me. But after it's fixed, it's like, you don't know what other value I have, because all you cared about or saw was your problem. Yep. Yeah.
I think that's so huge. My encouragement for accountants, if you're an accountant and you're listening to this, I really encourage you that, you know, when you start by asking, like, they want to get into the muck right away. They want to get in the weeds right away. I pull that sucker out of the weeds as much as you can. I'll get people call me, do you like WordPress or do you like Squarespace? I'm like, hold on. Like, what kind of business do you have? How much money do you make? Where are you trying to go? Like, where we got to bring it up a level. And notice what I did there is, it's literally, you need to pull this back up and find out, okay, how long have they been in business? How did they start their business? How much money? And you got to find out, how many sales are they making? How successful is this business? How much money do they make? Where are they trying to head to? And if you patiently ask those questions, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is a bigger boy, bigger girl conversation than what I thought. And then you can find the DIYers too. Because those DIYers are not helpful. You need to not work with DIYers. If they're DIYers, the more you can look at someone and just go, look, I have a system. It's our outsourced accounting system. We do your taxes. We do your books. We do your payroll. I set up a tax plan. I pay in your taxes throughout the year. That's our system. I don't do anything else out of that system, because the more you commit to that system, the better the outcome is for that system. And that system, in fact, I'm just going to show on your website, we have this there's a list here. What's all included in the outsourced accounting model? That is intended. It's like, we'll clean up your books and establish a perfect chart of accounts. We'll do an in-depth analysis. We'll create a tax plan for this year and the future. We'll do your books. We'll do your taxes throughout the year and pay them in through you. We'll help you. And at the end, we do your taxes. That stack of value, it's not just like, there's so much there. It's what's valuable to a business owner, but they're also integrated. Like, if you get some other bookkeeper's books and then do the tax return, you're going to spend a bunch of screwing around like, wait a minute, what did they say? What is it? This line's not right. Like, that line's not right. And all of a sudden you have to go back to them. Like, do you have a thought there?
That's true. So that reminds me, because I have found the DIYers, or not knocking anyone, but just like the people that don't really want to pay and they want to do it on their own, but then they want me to do their taxes. It's like, if I know your books are correct, so you want me to produce a tax return and sign my name on it, and the IRS has all 10 of my fingerprints, and you don't know if your books are correct. So the numbers that you give me, you're not even certain of. So I had to find a way to just say no to individuals as well as businesses that aren't on a monthly basis with me. Just because I know your books are right. I know your inventory is correct. I know you counted your inventory at the year. I know all of those things. And so I'm in a better predicament in order to file your tax return. And
you got to teach your clients that. If they don't get taught that, they don't know that. They think they can,
absolutely.
And
we'll just do this part. And then how much is it if I just take this out and do this part? And I'm just like, that's not what I do.
No, I'm kind of like pokey at people. I would tell them the price went up when they started pulling things out. What happens if it comes up? It doubles, because now I'm screwing around. I don't screw around at all. I had a guy,
They're like, do I save money there if I take this out? But it's like, then I'm going to spend more time trying to figure out this cookie cutter model that you created that's got me, running around with a chicken with my head cut off. So yeah.
And that's the enemy. We were just talking about, like, just overarching advice. Every accountant right now, when tax season comes, you got to buck up and work hard. But on the other side, the more disciplined you are to only accept those diamond style clients, start swinging the bat to hit those home runs. But just being, and that what that means is it's being firm on your pricing, being firm at the type of client you want. The more you do that, and then the more reps you get, like the more momentum you build, and then the firmer you stick to that, the better value you can deliver, the less busy you get with the nonsense, and the more, the better your life will be. So that's one piece of it. I got a question for you. What do you have kind of like a guiding principle in life? Is there kind of a guiding system in your thought, or a principle that you have? Or you mentioned something about faith. Like what moves you and guides you? Small questions,
That's a really good question. I know you're asking me some deep, heavy stuff. Let me think. I know I'm such a thinker. If I had to say, it would be very cliche. It's going to be like, try to make the best out of anything, I guess. That's like what I try to stick by, but what guides me, I don't know. It's just kind of...
Well, that is being faithful. So what you said there, making the best of anything, means be faithful with what you're given, right?
That's
true. Be a good steward of what you have. That's a big idea. That's no small deal. That's a big one. That's a big deal. So.
I guess it is. So I just had to trust and know that, whether I have 2 clients or whether I have 100, I'm going to be okay. My business is going to be okay. I'm still going to do his work, because it's not just about the numbers for me. I want to help birth businesses, but not in a way of, I'm doing it from a financial perspective more than anything. So
that's cool.
Just making the best out of anything.
All right, two last questions. If you had any advice for Cottrell a year ago, what advice would you give Cottrell a year ago?
I would say, girl, you got this. That's what I would say.
Just a
My
pat on the
advice would
back.
be, yeah, I would be like, you have this when you feel defeated or when you feel like, what the heck did I decide to do? Or when, and I would also, my advice would be to not allow people to make you feel like you have to explain your worth or your value. So now in every conversation I go into, every room I step in, every phone call, I'm like, I have arrived. And I never had that before. I was always like the accountant that just was quiet, and I have so much more, and I always felt like I was beautiful and things of that nature, but when it comes to confidence and just knowing that I deserve to be here, that's what I mean when I say, girl, you got this.
Yep.
You can rock a room. You can do anything, That's my advice to myself would be like,
That's awesome. I love it.
You got this. Yeah.
Accountants in particular, I got a thought on that. Accountants in particular tend to judge the costs of things. They tend to identify the risks of things, and then they tend to shy away from it, which is why they're not salespeople, and they're usually not, speakers.
Yeah.
There's a humility and a meekness that I like about you. And in all my accountants, it's usually how you're gifted and grown. But there's also this thing that, like, because you think costs, it's not just that many accountants are introverts. That's not really what it is. What happens is two things. One, you have a tendency to think of the cost that you're going to cost the customer rather than the benefit that they're going to receive. There is that thing, but then there's an even deeper side to it where, like, you shop out of your own pocket. And so we used to talk about this at Best Buy. People would come in and, like, I walk in. So if I walk into a Best Buy, I always laugh. The guy's like, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want a phone." He's like, "We go to sale on the cheap one," and I'm not like I'm a big shooter, but I buy the best phone and the best computer I can because it is my money making machine. It is my money making machine, and I'm like, no, just bring me to the best one right now. Well, this guy's been used to selling out of his pockets the whole time. And in accountants, until you get around a business owner with 10 employees, there's not that many of them. Like in general society, most people don't own their own business. And until you get in there and start realizing the problems they have, it's incredibly difficult for you to convey the value that they will receive. And so sometimes you got to buck up and believe the guides. And I don't mean to like talk myself up. I'm a guide. I've talked to thousands and thousands of business owners from Nuance and then in what I do now. And so if you listen to your coaches, if you listen to your people, or when you're getting started, just start interviewing entrepreneurs and business owners. Go find one. If you're an accountant, you're unsure about how to sell value, go find out and ask the questions like, genuinely, what keeps you up at night? Like, and what you start finding out is that, you said hiring the right people and empowering them properly. Every business owner struggles with that. So if they struggle with that, now they're going to hire an accountant. They don't know anything about bookkeeping. Usually a contractor's like, well, I'll hire somebody that'll help me with my AP and AR and she'll do my books. Like that goes on all day. And that person comes in and makes a disaster for their tax person is usually what happens. So when the hardest thing I think is not only do you only think the costs, but how do you know the value if you've not been in their shoes? So my advice is the more start writing it out. And what's hard is you go into YouTube and you watch guys that do business coaches. I make all these videos about how to get business clients, and I'll go in the vein of like other videos that are there. I'm like, these people are making crap up. These people are lying. There's so many fake gurus out there trying to tell you that, you just run a Facebook ad and that'll do it. It's like, what are you talking about?
That's so true.
Like, anyways, that's my commentary on be confident that you are valuable. Like, you are very valuable. I will often say at minimum or at maximum, at minimum benefit that an accountant will bring. There are people out there that hire virtual assistants to just do detail work, nitpicky stuff. That's minimum. At minimum, you're going to serve as that. At minimum, you're going to be the one who remembers the stuff while the business owner's out there spinning 7 basketballs on his finger, trying to head in the right direction. But what you usually, at mid-level, you're going to do their taxes, right? Their books will be good. And at maximum, they can scale their operation. They can be more productive. You're going to save more in taxes than they pay you. They're going to end up having, like, go to the bank. They can buy a new excavator because you've made sure those books are pristine. And when it's time to go to Cat Financial and buy an excavator, it happens. So it's really hard. You got to start getting creative. Yes, believe that you're valuable, but you have to start either meeting entrepreneurs and business owners or getting in their world, listen to them, listen to podcasts, and listen. Productivity, and I'll just shut up here. Not that I like to talk about this stuff. My dad used to sell Caterpillar machinery, right? And so he sold to high-end contractors, and he had guys that would buy a $90,000 skid track loader, and he had guys that would order 12 D10, bulldozers and excavators at a time for $10 million, right? He kind of did it all. And what they would talk about is that price is the easiest value point to adjust, but it's usually the least important in the grand scheme of things. You have the ability to become more productive, which means get more work done, the ability to become more efficient, which means accomplish more with what you've given. You have resale price, availability, uptime. That was in machinery, but an accountant has similar value propositions throughout their benefits. And so sometimes, I don't know, I would affirm with what you said. Like, accountants are so doggone worth it, but it's hard for you to drink that Kool-Aid sometimes because you don't like to be salesy and you don't like to feel manipulative.
Now I'm that way, but I had to grow into who I am now, so
that's good. That's cool.
It definitely was a journey.
That's cool. All right. So last thing, imagine you're talking to Cottrell 10 years ago, or you're talking to young gals thinking of they don't know what they want to do with their life. What advice you got for them?
My advice would be to don't say you never do something. I would always say, like, just be optimistic to trying new things, because, that one time where I tried doing someone's, or helping them with their tax return, or I don't know, it doesn't even matter whether it's painting nails and someone asks you to do that, or you see something online on TikTok that you want to try, a new recipe. You might find out that you're a gourmet chef. So I think more so than anything else, I would say just be open to the journey, because this is not a straight and narrow path. It's just not. And I didn't know where I was going to end up, but you don't know. You have to be okay with not knowing. Be okay with not knowing it, because the more you just allow things to just flow, you know what I mean? To just be open to trying new things, the easier your life will be. But when you force it, when you rush it, when you are like, I can't figure this out, and so-and-so down the street runs her own business and this person is really good at that, just focus on your own path, your own journey. Just know it's not going to be straight, and try everything, try anything,
That's huge.
That would be my advice.
I love it. So I'm hearing in there, it's like, learn from the challenges that come your way. Try and be a great steward and be faithful with every little opportunity that comes your way. Learn from it, adapt from it, get a little bit better, get a little perspective. That's the other thing I think is so true about what you're saying, is when you have, I look back and I served tables at a Perkins, like a breakfast restaurant, for 2 years. I learned, I hated the job when I was done. I was like, I'm never working in food again. I had a little reminder, funny story, but I learned how to help engage with people at wherever they are, because some people want over-the-top service. Some people just want to make sure that your coffee's full. And some people, they got a family at 7, and they leave an utter disaster. And if you do it right, they'll tip you $35. Like, you see a little bit of everything. Then I worked at Best Buy, and Best Buy for me was this time where I got to learn all sorts of stuff. When I look back at it, I hated parts of it. Like, I always tried to be really good at what I was doing. That's one comment. The other thing I'm hearing you say, try to be good at what you're doing. Like, learn about it. Try and because that will position, you don't know. You're ignorant of what your future looks like. And whether it's catastrophe coming your way or opportunity coming your way, none of us know. Tomorrow is not given, right? And so you may need to learn how to steward these little opportunities before you now. And it could be that you become a guide and a master for it down the road. I always laugh. Like, I helped today. I had 2 really good, successful clients come in. One of them I got to take his photos because I like photography, because I didn't know anything about photography 11 years ago. And then the other one, like, I always worked at Best Buy. I know how to set, like, I was a learner. And so I set up their email for them, but I did it on their phone, and it took me 2 minutes. And that little experience I gained, and I was able, and that made his life easy. And so if you don't learn from these goofy things, go ahead.
That's so true. That's a good point to bring up, because every single thing I've ever done up until now was supposed to happen because it helped me be who I am right now. So when I was called on in a room full of people and they were like, okay, what's the answer to this? Or are your reports right? Or any of that type of stuff. It's like every moment, every job makes sense. Every direction in life, now that I look back, it totally makes sense, because it's like, oh, I could just pull that out of my hat now. But before, I would be like, why am I doing this?
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, Cottrell, I love
why
that.
am I doing this?
I love it. I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus, and I always laugh that I think those things like that, of just being faithful with whatever you have going, whatever you're given, be faithful with it. It work. All things work to go. Like, when you're faithful with it, and you just try, and that's my perspective. It's all right if other people don't have that perspective, but I genuinely think that I just got a lot of wisdom, and it's a good reminder to hear from you. I love that lesson you just taught us there. So, Cottrell, thank you. Folks, if you're listening to this, if you're an accountant, we love to help you with your bookkeeping websites, your accounting websites, all that. If you're a business owner and you're looking to get set up with a proactive tax planner, bookkeeper, go to cbwaccountant.com. She's got a fantastic site. And if you're a local entrepreneur, even if you're across the country, Cottrell does a fantastic job of doing your taxes, your bookkeeping, your accounting, and lowering your taxes. So, any other last thoughts before we sign off here for the afternoon?
No, even if you are an accountant, I would say, let's network,
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with that as well. Reach out to me, say hello. And if you are a business owner, definitely reach out still as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. Good luck. God bless.
Yeah.
We got the podcast at Feedbackwrench on iTunes and everything. And then we got the YouTube channel. So appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Cottrell.